In a world where time isn't just ticking, one god finds himself at the center of it all. Loki takes viewers on a mind-bending journey through timelines, realities, and the chaos of self-discovery. It's not just about mischief anymore, it's about identity, destiny, and what it truly means to have a glorious purpose. With unpredictable twists, new allies, and old enemies, this story dives deep into the heart of the multiverse, where every decision can unravel existence itself. After the Avengers messed with time, an alternate Loki manages to grab the Tesseract and teleport away, landing right in the middle of Mongolia's Gobi Desert. Confused but still full of pride, he tries to impress the local villagers until a squad of strange soldiers from glowing portals appears. They call themselves the Time Variance Authority, or TVA, and label Loki as a variant, accusing him of committing crimes against something called the Sacred Timeline. When Loki tries to fight back, one of the agents, Hunter B-15, hits him with a strange device that slows down his movement in real time, making him move in slow motion. The TVA plants a device to reset the timeline before taking Loki away. The God of Mischief is dragged into the TVA headquarters, stripped of his armor, and forced through a bizarre series of tests to confirm he's an actual living being. He's handed over to a waiting area where he watches a cheerful cartoon video from an animated clock named Miss Minutes. The video explains that the TVA was created by the mysterious Timekeepers after a massive multiversal war. Their mission is to protect the sacred timeline from branching realities and prevent another cosmic disaster. Meanwhile, a TVA agent named Mobius is investigating a case in 16th century France where a squad of TVA soldiers, known as Minutemen, were attacked during a timeline disturbance. Before Mobius can dig deeper, he's told that the Loki variant has been captured. At Loki's trial, he blames the Avengers for the timeline mess, arguing that they're the ones who broke time. But Judge Ravonna Renslayer rules that the Avengers' actions were supposed to happen, while Loki's escape was not. With his powers useless inside the TVA, Loki faces being erased from existence until Mobius steps in and asks to talk to him. Mobius sits Loki down and shows him clips from his life in the main timeline. He challenges Loki's obsession with control and superiority, trying to get him to reflect on his actions. Loki insists that he's in charge of his own fate, not some cosmic beings called the Timekeepers. But when Mobius shows him a recording of his mother Frigga's death, something Loki indirectly caused, he starts to break. Mobius tells him it was all destined to happen. When Mobius steps out, Loki escapes and searches for the Tesseract, cornering a TVA clerk named Casey. But to his surprise, Casey shows him a drawer filled with infinity stones used as paperweights. Loki realizes that even the most powerful objects in the universe are meaningless here, and the TVA truly holds ultimate power. B-15 catches up and attacks him, but Loki uses a device to teleport around and ends up back in the room with the recording of his life. He continues watching and sees everything: his redemption, his bond with Thor, and finally his death at the hands of Thanos. Overwhelmed, he admits to Mobius that he hurts people because he's weak, not because he enjoys it. Seeing potential in him, Mobius offers Loki a chance at redemption by helping the TVA track down another dangerous variant, another Loki. In 1985, Wisconsin TVA Minutemen respond to a strange timeline disturbance. They're hunting the rogue Loki variant responsible for several attacks, but things quickly go wrong. During the mission, one of the agents, Hunter C-20, is suddenly brainwashed and turns on her own team. After collapsing, she's taken hostage by the mysterious variant, who escapes through a time door. Back at the TVA, Loki from 2012 is still learning the ropes. Miss Minutes gives him a lesson on Nexus events, moments when the timeline starts to branch out of control. Once a branch passes a certain point, the TVA can't fix it anymore, leading to chaos and the collapse of reality itself. Mobius calls Loki in to help investigate the latest ambush, though many TVA agents, including Hunter B-15, are doubtful about working with him. Mobius promises Loki a meeting with the Timekeepers if he cooperates and helps capture the variant. They return to the 1985 site, but there's no sign of the enemy. Loki tries to offer advice about how a Loki might behave, warning the team about potential traps. But it's really a distraction, buying himself time. Realizing he's stalling, the agents pull back and reset the branch before it's too late. Later, Mobius meets with Judge Renslayer, arguing that using Loki might help them understand and catch the variant. She reluctantly gives him one last chance, reminding him the Timekeepers are watching closely. Mobius takes Loki to the TVA library to research. Loki tries to sneak files about the Timekeepers, but everything is classified. He ends up finding information about Ragnarok, the destruction of Asgard, and suddenly has an idea. He theorizes that the variant is hiding in apocalyptic events, since those disasters erase all traces of timeline changes. To prove it, Loki and Mobius travel to Pompeii in 79 AD, Right before Mount Vesuvius erupts, Loki loudly warns everyone of their fate, but no new branch appears, confirming his theory. Back at the TVA, Mobius explains that the Timekeepers are slowly finishing the timeline's future, while the TVA maintains everything that came before. Loki questions their motives, hinting that not everyone is purely good or evil. Remembering a clue from an earlier case in 1549 France, Mobius looks at the kablooey candy left behind. Since the candy was only sold between 2047 and 2051, they narrow down their search to disasters from that period. Their hunt leads them to 2050 Alabama, where a massive hurricane is about to destroy the town of Haven Hills. Inside a Roxcart superstore, the Variant is hiding among civilians. When Loki and B-15 arrive, the Variant takes control of several people, using them to fight. Loki eventually meets the cloaked figure, who reveals herself as a female Loki. Her plan activates, sending stolen reset charges across the sacred timeline, creating countless new branches. As chaos erupts, she escapes through a time door, and Loki follows her in, leaving Mobius behind. Before the chaos at the Roxcart superstore, the Variant secretly invades Hunter C-20's mind, using a fake memory to extract information about where the Timekeepers are located. Meanwhile, the TVA scrambles to contain the disaster spreading across the sacred timeline. The Variant steps through a time door from 2050, fighting off Minutemen while Loki chases after her, daggers in hand. The two clash in a fierce knife fight, with Loki once again trying to convince her to team up and confront the Timekeepers together. She refuses, and their standoff is interrupted when Judge Renslayer arrives with reinforcements. To escape, Loki activates a tempad, teleporting both of them away at the last second. They land in a strange metal bunker where the Variant immediately tries to flee, but the tempad is dead. Loki uses his magic to hide it, keeping it out of her reach. Before they can argue further, a meteor crashes near them, forcing them to look outside. To their horror, Loki realizes they've landed on Lamentis 1 in the year 2077, a doomed moon about to be crushed by its parent planet. With the tempad powerless, they have only hours before total destruction. The Variant, who finally reveals her name as Sylvie, reluctantly agrees to work with Loki to find a way to recharge the device. They explore an abandoned mining town but find nothing strong enough to power it. Eventually, they encounter a defensive old woman living alone, who angrily attacks them before pointing them toward the Ark, a massive spaceship meant to evacuate the rich and powerful off the moon. Unfortunately, entry requires a ticket. The two devise a plan. Loki disguises himself as a guard, while Sylvie enchants another one to help them board the train. Inside, they briefly drop their guard and talk. Sylvie explains she taught herself magic and barely remembers her mother. Loki shares that his own mother taught him sorcery and that he learned later in life he was adopted. For a rare moment, the two bond over drinks and laughter. Loki even sings an old Asgardian song, drawing attention to himself. But when security demands tickets, Loki fumbles and accidentally reveals his disguise. A chaotic brawl follows, ending with Loki being thrown out of the train window. Sylvie jumps out after him, only to discover that the tempad shattered from the fall. Furious, she tells Loki there's no escape. The moon is doomed, and the Ark will be destroyed before takeoff. Loki refuses to give up and suggests they hijack it before launch. As they push through the crumbling city, Sylvie reveals something shocking. The TVA agents aren't creations of the Timekeepers. They're actually variants whose memories were erased. The revelation shakes everything Loki thought he knew. But before they can act, the Ark is obliterated by a meteor. Their last hope gone, Loki and Sylvie stand helpless as destruction closes in around them. As a child, Sylvie Laufeydotter lived peacefully in Asgard until the TVA suddenly arrived. Led by Ravonna Renslayer, the Minutemen arrested her for being a variant. At the TVA headquarters, Sylvie witnessed another variant being restrained before undergoing the same cold, mechanical intake process herself. But before her trial, she bit Renslayer's hand, stole her tempad, and escaped through time, beginning a lifetime of running from the TVA. In the present, Renslayer reports to the Timekeepers about Sylvie's ongoing threat. Later, she meets Mobius and tells him that Hunter C-20, the agent Sylvie once controlled, has supposedly died from the encounter. Renslayer orders Mobius to find and capture both Loki and Sylvie. Meanwhile, on the crumbling moon of Lamentis 1, Loki and Sylvie brace themselves for death. As meteors rain down, Sylvie shares her story of being hunted since childhood, hiding in apocalypses to survive. Loki comforts her, saying Loki's always managed to live against the odds. When they touch hands, the emotional moment creates a huge nexus spike, alerting the TVA, who arrive just in time to capture them. Separated at TVA headquarters, Loki tries to warn Mobius that everyone working there is actually a variant stolen from their real lives. Mobius refuses to believe it and locks him in a time cell, a looped memory where Lady Sif repeatedly punches him for cutting her hair. Each time the loop resets, Loki becomes more broken down by guilt and frustration. Mobius later confronts Renslayer, asking to interrogate Sylvie, but she refuses. Outside, he meets Hunter B-15, who's starting to doubt the TVA after Sylvie once touched her mind. Eventually, Mobius retrieves Loki and questions him again, pretending Sylvie has been pruned. Loki's reaction gives away his true feelings for her. Loki then insists that everyone at the TVA, including Mobius, once had a real life before being brainwashed. Still in denial, Mobius sends Loki back into the time cell. Elsewhere, B-15 brings Sylvie to the Roxcart site from 2050 to uncover the truth. Sylvie shows her a glimpse of her buried memories, and B-15 breaks down, realizing she had a past life. Back at TVA, Mobius secretly swaps his tempad with Renslayer's and discovers a recording proving Loki was right. C-20 didn't die, but was silenced after remembering her past. Mobius rushes to free Loki, but gets caught. When Renslayer realizes the tempad swap, she orders Mobius to be pruned on the spot. Loki watches in horror. Renslayer then takes Loki and Sylvie to meet the Timekeepers, but after a tense fight, thanks to B-15's help, Sylvie decapitates one, revealing they're just mindless androids. As Loki tries to confess his feelings, Renslayer suddenly prunes him. Sylvie disarms her and demands the truth about the TVA. Loki wakes up in a strange wasteland, alive and face-to-face with 4 other Loki variants who offer to help him survive. Loki finds himself trapped in the void, a strange wasteland ruled by a massive storm-like creature called Alioth. There, he meets several other versions of himself: classic Loki, Kid Loki, boastful Loki, and even an alligator Loki. Together, they run for their lives from the deadly cloud monster. Back at the Time Variance Authority, Sylvie confronts Judge Renslayer to uncover who created the TVA. But Renslayer claims she doesn't know either. She reveals that Loki isn't dead, he's been sent to the Void, a place where all pruned timelines end up. Sylvie decides to go there herself to find him. When she asks Miss Minutes for information about a Void timecraft, Renslayer secretly orders guards to capture her. Realizing she's been betrayed, Sylvie prunes herself to escape instead of being imprisoned. Meanwhile, Loki and the other variants take shelter in an underground bunker. They share stories of how they each ended up in the Void, but Loki wants to leave and kill Alioth. The others laugh, knowing it's impossible. Ignoring them, Loki heads out, only to be ambushed by a new gang led by President Loki and his army of Lokis. Things quickly turn chaotic when boastful Loki betrays the group for power, only for President Loki's own army to betray him in return. The bunker erupts into a full-on Loki brawl, with alligator Loki hilariously biting off President Loki's hand. Classic Loki saves the others with illusions and portals. Elsewhere, Sylvie wakes up in the Void and encounters Alioth. When she touches the storm, she briefly sees a mysterious citadel hidden beyond it. Just as the creature closes in, Mobius shows up driving a pizza delivery car and rescues her. She believes enchanting Alioth might reveal the way out, so Mobius drives straight toward it. The Lokius reunite with Sylvie and Mobius, forming a plan to enchant the beast. Mobius vows to burn down the TVA and returns using a tempad. Kid Loki gifts Loki a dagger before parting ways. Loki and Sylvie then share a quiet moment, promising to face whatever comes next together. As they approach Alioth, classic Loki reappears, summoning a massive illusion of Asgard to distract the monster. It's a spectacular display of magic that shows just how powerful he truly is. Alioth devours classic Loki, but his sacrifice gives Loki and Sylvie the opening they need. They combine their powers and successfully enchant the storm. When the smoke clears, a glowing portal appears, revealing the citadel at the end of time. Hand in hand, Loki and Sylvie step toward their next great mystery. At the edge of time stands the citadel, glowing under a beam of light that represents the sacred timeline. Loki and Sylvie finally reach its massive doors after escaping the Void. Sylvie, nervous but determined, tries to steady herself until the doors open on their own. Inside, they're greeted by Miss Minutes, who offers them a tempting deal from the mysterious He Who Remains, the creator of the TVA. He promises to rewrite their lives. Loki would rule Asgard, defeat Thanos, and win in New York, while Sylvie would reunite with her lost family. He even offers them a chance to live together, happily, in one timeline. But both reject the offer, since they'd rather shape their own fates. Miss Minutes then appears in Renslayer's office, delivering secret files that aren't what she asked for. Soon after, Mobius shows up, ready to confront her with a pruning stick. Renslayer claims she pruned him before to protect the TVA's purpose, but Mobius exposes her lies, thanks to Hunter B-15, who showed other agents that Renslayer herself is just another variant from Earth. Back in the Citadel, Loki and Sylvie enter an elevator and finally meet He Who Remains, a calm, smiling man who already seems to know everything they'll do. Sylvie tries to strike him down, but he easily dodges every move. He's seen it all before. He invites them to talk, explaining that he orchestrated their entire journey. He questions Sylvie's trust in Loki, saying she's never truly trusted anyone. Meanwhile, Renslayer argues with Mobius, insisting that the TVA must exist to maintain order. Mobius defends free will, but Renslayer refuses to give up control. She overpowers him and escapes through a time door, claiming she's going to search for free will. He Who Remains reveals the truth. He's the one keeping the multiverse from collapsing. Long ago, his variants discovered multiversal travel, but some turned evil, sparking a war across timelines. Using Alioth, he ended the chaos and created the sacred timeline. Now he offers Loki and Sylvie a choice: kill him and unleash countless dangerous versions of himself, or take his place and run the TVA. As thunder rumbles outside, he suddenly admits they've reached the threshold, a point where even he can't see what happens next. Sylvie believes he's lying and attacks. Loki pleads with her to stop, warning of the chaos that will follow. She kisses him, but then sends him through a time door, choosing to finish her mission. Sylvie kills He Who Remains, who laughs and says, "See you soon," before dying. At the TVA, Loki finds Mobius and B-15, but they don't remember him. Looking up, he sees the statues of the Timekeepers replaced by one figure, He Who Remains. Loki finds himself back in the TVA, chased by Mobius and a group of Minutemen who don't seem to remember him at all. Despite Loki's desperate attempts to remind Mobius of their friendship, Mobius insists they've never met. Panicking, Loki jumps into a mail cart and crashes into a lower level, destroying a statue of He Who Remains. Loki bumps into Casey, who also has no memory of him. But before he can make sense of things, alarms blare and Loki's body suddenly glitches and distorts through time. He lands in the future, where Casey now recognizes him and rushes him toward Mobius and Hunter B-15 in Chrono Bay 3. Before Loki can reach them, he vanishes again. In the present, Mobius and B-15 are called to the TVA's war room to discuss what to do about the growing number of branching timelines. Loki follows, slipping between past and present. In the past, he sees walls covered with carvings of He Who Remains, confirming that the TVA has always been under his control. Back in the present, Loki interrupts the meeting and explains to Mobius that he and Sylvie met He Who Remains at the Citadel at the end of time. When he prunes part of the wall, the old Timekeeper's imagery peels away to reveal He Who Remains' true likeness beneath. Everyone is shaken, and General Dox immediately orders Hunter X-05 to form a team to find Sylvie before things get worse. Mobius brings Loki to repairs and advancement, where they meet Ouroboros, OB for short, a quirky engineer who runs the TVA's tech division. OB hasn't seen Mobius in 400 years, but quickly diagnoses Loki's strange time-slipping, something that shouldn't even be possible in the TVA. Loki glitches into the past again, and together, both versions of OB guide Loki and Mobius on how to fix it. The plan involves using a massive machine called the Temporal Aura Extractor to pull Loki out of the timeline safely by having him prune himself at the right moment. If it fails, Loki could be shredded by time, and Mobius could be severely injured. They head to the Temporal Loom, which is overheating from the growing branches. Loki time slips to the future, desperately searching for a pruning stick but comes up empty. As alarms blare, he hears a phone ringing and runs toward it. Just then, Sylvie steps out from behind a door and Loki is suddenly pruned, saving him just in time. He reappears inside the control room, landing beside Mobius. With Loki stabilized, they vow to find Sylvie. Meanwhile, in 1982, Oklahoma, Sylvie enters a McDonald's, tired and hungry, and asks to try everything on the menu. Loki and Mobius head to 1977 London after learning that Hunter X-05 went missing during his mission to find Sylvie. Instead of hunting variants, X-05 is living the good life on the sacred timeline as a famous movie star named Brad Wolfe. When Loki and Mobius confront him, Brad tries to run, but the two manage to corner and arrest him with the help of Hunter B-15. They haul him back to the TVA for questioning. Back at headquarters, Ouroboros is busy working to stabilize the temporal loom, which is dangerously close to overloading from the growing number of branching timelines. When Loki and Mobius try to hand him Brad's modified tempad, OB can barely look up from his work. Meanwhile, Casey digs into Renslayer's tempad records and discovers she's been secretly working with Miss Minutes. Loki also reveals that during his time slipping, he saw Renslayer working closely with He Who Remains, almost like a partner. When Casey realizes Brad's tempad can still be tracked, Loki, Mobius, and B-15 drag him into interrogation. Brad refuses to talk, instead mocking both of them and pushing their buttons. Frustrated, Mobius storms out, and he and Loki cool off in the cafeteria. Mobius admits he doesn't want to know what his life was before the TVA. He's afraid of what he might find. Later, Loki uses his magic and clever tricks to pressure Brad into confessing. He finally reveals that he found Sylvie and that she's living peacefully on a branching timeline. At the same time, OB hits a major problem. The temporal loom's blast doors won't open, and only the system's creator, He Who Remains, has clearance to override it. Since he's dead, their only hope is to find Miss Minutes and convince her to help. Brad reluctantly takes Loki and Mobius to Sylvie's new life in Broxton, Oklahoma, where she's working at a McDonald's. Loki tries to warn her about the TVA's coming collapse and the danger of He Who Remains variants, but Sylvie refuses to get involved. She just wants to live freely, away from the TVA. Mobius soon notices Brad acting nervous. After Sylvie enchants him, they learn the truth. General Dox has launched a massive operation to prune every branching timeline. Loki and Sylvie rush to stop her, fighting through Dox's loyalists while OB and Casey struggle to disable the reset charges. But it's too late. When the chaos settles, the group discovers Dox has already wiped out countless timelines, killing countless lives. Horrified, Loki is speechless while Sylvie coldly declares that the TVA is the real problem. She then leaves, returning to her own timeline to study He Who Remains Tempad, preparing for whatever comes next. Guided by Miss Minutes, Ravonna arrives in 1868 Chicago with a mysterious package and instructions from He Who Remains' old contingency plan. Miss Minutes tells her to leave the package at a random house, not explaining why. When they leave, a young boy finds Eye. Inside is the TVA handbook, setting his future in motion. Back at the TVA, Ouroboros tells Loki and Mobius that even after Dox's timeline massacre, new branches are forming again. The temporal loom is still at risk of melting down, and the only way to fix it requires Miss Minutes, who's gone missing. To find her, Loki and Mobius track Ravonna's Tempad signal to 1893 Chicago during the world's Columbian Exposition. At the fair, they stumble upon a show called Victor Timely's Temporal Marvels. On stage is a nervous inventor selling a prototype of a temporal loom. Loki is stunned. Victor is a variant of He Who Remains. Renslayer and Miss Minutes are in the audience too, watching closely. While most people think Victor's a fraud, his invention attracts attention from a powerful investor named Baron, who buys it for $1,000. Later, chaos breaks out when Baron accuses Victor of being a scammer. Loki and Mobius try to reach him, Renslayer makes her move, and Sylvie suddenly appears, ready to kill Victor before he can ever become He Who Remains. Loki defends Victor, arguing that the TVA and Victor's knowledge are vital for saving the multiverse. Sylvie doesn't agree, believing any version of He Who Remains is a threat. While they fight, Renslayer escapes with Victor using Miss Minutes' ghostly projection as a distraction. She explains everything about the TVA and He Who Remains, convincing Victor that his inventions are crucial. He agrees to go with her, but first they retrieve his prototype from his lab in Wisconsin. On the way, he realizes Renslayer was the one who gave him the TVA book as a child, and they briefly bond before Victor pulls away after she talks about being partners. Miss Minutes manipulates Victor into ditching Renslayer and running off alone with her. She confesses she once served He Who Remains but wanted more, a body and love. Terrified by her obsession, Victor shuts her down. Renslayer arrives furious, but before she can prune Victor, Loki, Mobius, and Sylvie burst in. Sylvie almost kills Victor, but decides to spare him after he begs for his life. Loki and Mobius take Victor back to the TVA. Sylvie then banishes Renslayer to the Citadel at the end of time, where she finds He Who Remains' corpse. Reuniting with Miss Minutes, Renslayer vows revenge. Miss Minutes ominously says she knows all of He Who Remains' secrets, including one about Renslayer that she won't like. At the Citadel at the end of time, Miss Minutes finally tells Renslayer the truth. Long ago, she led He Who Remains' army during the Multiversal War, and he once wanted her to rule the TVA beside him. But he erased her memories, along with everyone else's, to keep control. Feeling betrayed, Miss Minutes suggests that instead of finding another He Who Remains, they should take over the TVA themselves. Meanwhile, Victor Timely arrives at the TVA for the first time. Wide-eyed and curious, Loki, Mobius, and B-15 greet him and bring him to Ouroboros and Casey. Ouroboros is amazed when he learns that everything he knows came from Timely's ideas, even though Timely only learned from Ouroboros' TVA handbook. It's a mind-bending time loop, but there's no time to dwell on it. The temporal loom is still breaking down, and to fix it, someone must deliver the throughput multiplier to the loom manually. Sylvie doesn't trust Timely and still resents the TVA, but Loki convinces her to help one last time. As Timely and Ouroboros finish building the device, B-15 tries to convince General Dox and her captured loyalists to help defend the TVA. But when Renslayer and Miss Minutes show up, Dox and her team refuse to join them. In a horrifying moment, Miss Minutes coldly crushes them all except for Brad Wolf, who sides with her out of fear. She then locks every tempad in the TVA, cutting off communication. Later, Timely and Hunter D-90 stop by the hot cocoa machine, where Timely becomes fascinated by the simple invention. But their break turns deadly when Wolf appears, prunes D90, and kidnaps Timely for Renslayer and Miss Minutes. They demand the multiplier, while Loki and Sylvie race to save him. During their search, Sylvie briefly meets a time-slipped version of Loki who's pruned by his future self. Back at the control room, Ouroboros reboots the TVA systems to stop Miss Minutes, disabling all magic-suppressing tech in the process. Before shutting down, Miss Minutes spitefully tells Timely he'll never become He Who Remains. Renslayer sends Wolf to investigate, but Sylvie enchants him, forcing him to prune Renslayer instead. Loki and Sylvie free Timely and hurry back to the Loom Chamber. With time running out, Loki offers to launch the multiplier himself, but Timely insists it has to be him. The doors open and Timely bravely steps out, only to be torn apart instantly by the overwhelming temporal radiation. Everyone watches in shock as their plan fails. Moments later, the loom explodes in a blinding flash, consuming everything in sight. Loki closes his eyes as the TVA is engulfed in light. As the blinding light fades, Loki opens his eyes and finds himself standing in a completely deserted TVA. The place is lifeless, silent, and falling apart. His time-slipping condition suddenly returns as the TVA's fail-safe mode activates, leaving the whole organization on the brink of collapse. Loki grabs a copy of the TVA handbook just before the office disintegrates into strands of spaghetti-like energy. He slips through time again, landing across different timelines where he finds alternate versions of his friends living their normal lives before the TVA ever existed. Casey is now Frank Morris, an escaped convict in 1962 San Francisco. B-15 is Verity Willis, a pediatrician in 2012 New York. Mobius lives as Don, a jet ski salesman in 2022 Cleveland. And Ouroboros exists as A.D. Doug, a struggling sci-fi writer and physics professor in 1994 Pasadena. Loki explains that he needs to travel back in time before the temporal loom was destroyed. Doug tells him it's impossible unless he learns to control his time slipping, since he always ends up near people he's connected to. Doug also believes the TVA might still exist somewhere in time. They just need to locate it. His idea is to gather everyone and use their combined temporal aura readings to pinpoint the right coordinates. Since Loki doesn't have a tempad, he gives Doug the TVA handbook so he can build one from scratch. Soon after, Loki slips to Don's timeline where Doug finally appears, now 19 months older, exhausted, and newly divorced after spending all that time building a working tempad. Loki convinces Don to join, then uses the tempad to recruit Willis and Morris as well. The group's last stop is Sylvie, who's living peacefully in 1982 Broxton, still working at McDonald's, and unlike the others, remembers everything. Sylvie refuses to return, saying Loki should have left them all to live their real lives, free from the TVA. She pushes him to admit that he isn't trying to save time, he's just terrified of losing the people he cares about. Loki finally confesses, and Sylvie encourages him to take control of his own story. Feeling guilty, Loki prepares to send everyone back home, but Sylvie changes her mind when her own world begins unraveling into spaghetti-like threads. Doug rushes to retrieve his tempad but realizes it's vanished. Reality collapses faster than before, and one by one, Morris, Doug, Don, Willis, and even Sylvie dissolve out of existence. Heartbroken, Loki breaks down until suddenly he's pulled back in time, finding everyone alive again. Realizing he's finally learned to control his slipping by focusing on people, not moments, Loki centers on Ouroboros and jumps back to just before the loom's destruction. Loki returns to the moment Victor Timely is about to launch the throughput multiplier, right before he's torn apart by the loom's deadly radiation. Ouroboros sadly notes they were too late, so Loki keeps rewinding time, trying again and again to save him. He even jumps back further to take Timely away from Renslayer and Miss Minutes before their interrogation, hoping to prepare him earlier, but every attempt ends in failure. Eventually, Loki realizes the only way to succeed is to train Timely from the moment he first arrived at the TVA, giving him time to learn and adapt. This time, it works. Timely launches the multiplier safely and returns alive. Everyone celebrates, but their victory doesn't last. Ouroboros quickly discovers that as the multiverse continues expanding into infinite branches, the loom instantly overloads again. Timely runs the numbers and confirms the terrifying truth: no version of the loom could ever handle infinite timelines. Loki's heart sinks. Everything they've done still leads to destruction. Desperate, Loki travels back to the moment when Sylvie kills He Who Remains, trying to stop her. He pleads with her to stand down, but she refuses, telling him he'd have to kill her to protect that man. Loki can't bring himself to do it, so he freezes her in time instead. He Who Remains, fully aware of Loki's time travel, calmly explains everything. The loom was never meant to save time, it was a fail-safe. When overloaded, it erases every branching timeline and even the TVA, leaving only the sacred timeline intact. He warns Loki that destroying the loom would unleash his countless variants upon the multiverse. Finally, He Who Remains tells Loki that the role of the Keeper of Time is a lonely burden, one that demands sacrifice. Still conflicted, Loki time slips again to his first interrogation with Mobius. There, Mobius reminds him that every glorious purpose comes with a cost, and that doing what's right often feels like doing the wrong thing. Loki accepts this truth, shaking his old friend's hand before slipping away once more. He then visits Sylvie in 1994 Pasadena, unsure what to do next. He believes restoring the sacred timeline might be the only way to save existence, but Sylvie urges him to value free will instead. Her words inspire him to find a third path, to build something better. Returning to the loom chamber, Loki takes Timely's place. With quiet determination, he steps toward the loom and destroys it, unleashing countless collapsing timelines. Drawing on his magic, Loki gathers and revives the dying strands, weaving them together. He walks to the Citadel at the end of time, sits upon He Who Remains' throne, and reshapes the multiverse into a great glowing tree, the Yggdrasil of all timelines. In the aftermath, the TVA rebuilds under B-15, and Casey, now tracking variants of He Who Remains. Ouroboros reprograms Miss Minutes to be kind and releases a new TVA handbook, crediting Timely as co-author. Renslayer faces the creature Aliath in the void, while Mobius leaves the TVA to quietly watch his past life with Sylvie nearby. Overlooking them from afar, Loki, now the god of stories, sits in eternal solitude, guarding the endless branches of time. And that's how one God of Mischief turned a timeline crisis into the biggest cosmic glow-up in history. From TVA politics to exploding timelines, Loki somehow managed to fix everything by breaking all the rules. A classic Loki move. It's funny how a guy who used to call himself the God of Mischief ended up becoming the god of holding the multiverse together with sheer willpower. Somewhere out there, Mobius is probably still looking for that perfect jet ski, Sylvie's eating fries at McDonald's, and Ouroboros is rewriting the handbook for the 100th time. Time may be messy, but hey, that's what makes it fun to watch. See you in the next recap.